Hi there, Erica here. Welcome back to Sugar, Spice and Rosé. Today I'm so excited to show you my caramelized onion buttermilk biscuits. Please stay tuned. You're going to start by peeling and dicing your onion. So you're going to cut it in half and then you're going to peel off that outer layer. I like to take off that first layer of onion because sometimes I find it's like really hard to cut through. But then you're going to start to slice just like you see me doing right here. What I would say is that like vertically, horizontally, and then cut across the onion. Again, these cuts do not have to be perfect. You're just trying to go for a fine dice, a fairly fine dice of the onion. When you're done dicing your onion, you can set that aside. Now you're going to take a pan and you're going to place some butter in it and allow it to melt gently. You do not want this to burn too quickly. So gently melt your butter and then add your onions. And then you're going to just stir to combine and place this over a low heat, stirring constantly to make sure that your onions are not sticking to the pan. And you're going to see them go through various stages just like this one here. Feel free to season your onions with a little pinch of salt and a little bit of water if necessary if you find that they're sticking to the pan too much. And you're going to cook them until they're nice and caramelized, this nice golden brown color that you see here, and then just set them aside to cool. Now you're going to work on your buttermilk biscuits. You're going to make your own homemade buttermilk by combining your milk and your vinegar and just set that aside for a few minutes until it starts to curdle. But keep in mind you want that buttermilk to be cold for this buttermilk biscuit process. Next, you're going to combine your dry ingredients and then add your cold butter. Your butter should be cold but still pliable, just like you see me doing here. I toss the butter in some flour so that it doesn't necessarily stick to my hands, but the butter is soft enough that I can flatten it, break it apart, and then distribute it into the flour until you get like these small and large bits of butter distributed throughout your mixture. And at this stage I actually set this mixture in the fridge because I wanted to make sure that this butter was not getting too soft. Next, you're going to add your cooled caramelized onions, and using a fork like I am doing here, you're just going to add that to your mix and stir it to combine. And the ingredients will be listed in the description box below, so feel free to check out the ingredients there. And if during the mixing process you see any large clumps of butter, just break those apart like you did before. These irregular bits of flour are going to create those lovely layers in your biscuits. Now you're going to add your cold homemade buttermilk in intervals. So about 3 to 4 intervals. Just start by pouring a little bit into your flour and butter mixture and tossing to combine. You're not trying to over mix this batter as yet. You just want to hydrate all of that flour, which makes it easier to combine this mixture. So just use a little bit at a time. I go in with my silicone spatula just to make sure I get any dry bits. And when everything just comes together nicely, you're going to turn it out onto a clean surface and knead it until it's just about combined. Once again, you do not want to melt this butter, you do not want to over mix, but you do want to make sure all of that flour is hydrated and everything has come together. Okay, so my next step after I've kneaded it slightly is to flatten it and then fold it into thirds. So it's like you're doing a letter fold. Fold a third onto itself and then the other third over that folded third. If I didn't explain it properly, I hope the video showed it properly. But you're going to repeat this step once again. Turn it in a 90-degree angle and flatten it once again. And as you see, I have a bench scraper, which really helps me to pick up any sticky bits because I don't want to add any extra flour. So just once again, do that letter fold. Fold it in third, then fold that third onto that other folded third. It sounds confusing, but it's really simple. Repeat that process again. flatten it and then do that lateral fold. If your butter at any point feels as though it's getting too warm, feel free to place it back into the fridge. And after you've done your final fold, you're just going to turn it one more time and fold it in half and wrap it in plastic wrap and allow it to chill in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. So because you want that butter to firm up, you do not want it to be overly soft. And this recipe that you see me making here, I actually doubled the recipe, so I had to cut my dough in half. If you're making a single batch, you don't have to cut it in half. Just place it in your plastic wrap and try to flatten it into a 1-inch rectangle at this point. And when you've wrapped it, once again, you're going to allow that to chill for approximately 30 minutes. I actually left mine in the fridge overnight, so you can do that as well. You can prepare it ahead of time if you're going to have like a dinner party or something, or you're just doing this just for yourself. Like, these are really good. These are really good, okay? So even though I had pressed the dough into that 1-inch thick rectangle, I'm just flattening it just a little bit and shaping it with my rolling pin, just pressing firmly around the dough. So then I go in with my bench scraper and I take off any of those scraggly bits, that's what we call those, any of those ends, those imperfect ends, and those can turn into like a scrap piece of buttermilk biscuit. But for the sake of this, you're going to just take off those bits. And these biscuits are not your average size biscuits, because I use these in another recipe with some fried chicken, some macaroni pie stuffed fried chicken. So they're a bit larger. So if you wanted smaller buttermilk biscuits, what you would do is cut this in 12, so a 3x4 grid. But in this case, I'm just cutting it in 6, like you see me doing here, straight down the center and then go across horizontally. Once you're finished cutting your buttermilk biscuits to the size that you choose, place them onto a parchment lined baking sheet. And I actually placed mine in the fridge once again, just to make sure that that butter was actually really firm, because like I mentioned all the time, my climate is like really hot. So I placed those in the fridge until they were cold again, and then just before they were going to go into the oven, I brushed them with some melted butter. So you're going to bake those for approximately 25 minutes until they're nice and lightly golden brown. And when they're finished baking and they smell amazing, you're going to brush them with even more melted butter. And when you've done that, your buttermilk biscuits are finished. Feel free to enjoy them. These are really flavorful. Like, that caramelized onion just brought this, just had like this nice sweet flavor. And as you can see, these are super fluffy. Look at all of those layers. Oh my goodness, just so delicious. Hope you guys enjoy it. I will have all of the instructions in the description box below. The ingredients, the temperature of the oven, everything like that I will have in the description. So please visit that if you're interested in making these, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.